Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time.
It was so interesting because I was looking through my old TikToks the other day, and I posted in May, 1 month before I released Romantic Homicide, with the caption like, "You should never be holding your unreleased music. You could be one song away from blowing up." And then the next month I made Romantic Homicide, and I hated the song so much I didn't want to put it out. But I had no other music to post, so I posted a snippet of it, and then it took off overnight.
On July 5th, 2026, David had a court hearing that was supposed to be about getting him out of jail on house arrest. What it turned into was one of the most detailed public exposures of evidence in this case so far, and by the end of it, the picture prosecutors painted left very little room for interpretation. If you are just catching up, David is a singer and Queens' native who was arrested after the body of a young woman named Celeste was discovered. The discovery was made after someone noticed a foul odor coming from his Tesla. What followed was one of the most closely followed criminal cases in recent memory, and what came out in this July 5th hearing has people talking for a very different reason than the bond request his team filed. Let's start with why his legal team went to court in the first place. David's lawyers submitted new paperwork arguing that his jail conditions are inhumane and that they genuinely believe he may not survive long enough to reach trial. According to court filings reported by TMZ, David is being held in a segregated single cell with no television, no visitors, limited time outside, and no money in his jail account. He is in solitary confinement at Men's Central Jail in LA County. Now, solitary confinement means other inmates cannot physically access him, but that has not stopped them from getting to him. A former inmate of that facility explained in testimony what inmates have been doing instead. Because David is in a cell with a door slot, the kind typically used to pass food trays through, other inmates have been using that slot to throw things at him. And not just anything. The things being thrown are the worst you can imagine. According to the testimony, groups of inmates would rotate past his cell on a schedule, every 20 to 30 minutes, coordinated and deliberate. This happened consistently, like clockwork. David's legal team pointed to other high-profile cases to show the judge this is a known pattern, that famous artists with serious charges are regularly targeted inside county jail, either because inmates want money from their commissary accounts or because of jealousy over their wealth on the outside. The judge took note of the conditions and asked for more information, but before the defense could build further momentum, the prosecution stepped in, and what they brought to court shifted everything. First, the charges themselves. David is facing multiple serious counts, including murder, murder for financial gain, murder to prevent testimony, lying in wait, use of a deadly weapon, and charges related to what he did to Celeste's body after the fact. Because of the nature of these charges, he is classified as a high-security inmate, which means the worst conditions available. His legal team noted he has already been transferred between cell blocks 3 times because each time he arrives somewhere new, the standard protocol requires inmates to hear the charges of anyone entering their block. Every time his charges are read aloud, he loses any chance of being accepted in that block. He is effectively unwelcome everywhere he goes inside that facility. His physical situation makes this even more precarious. According to his arrest paperwork, David stands at 5'5" and weighs 125 pounds. With no commissary money, he is eating whatever the jail provides, which at his current facility means macaroni and beef, 1 apple, and a peanut butter granola bar for dinner. He is not in a position to protect himself physically, and he has nowhere to go where other inmates will leave him alone. David's team made a genuine case, but the prosecution's response is what changed the direction of the hearing entirely. prosecutors presented never-before-seen evidence about what was on David's devices in the period surrounding Celeste's death. On the day her body was discovered in his Tesla, investigators found that David had been watching specific videos on YouTube, including one titled "How to Delete Instagram Chats from Both Sides," and another about missing children resources in Virginia. Prosecutors argued this was David actively trying to figure out how to cover his tracks. Then came the evidence about Celeste herself and what she had allegedly communicated to him in the days before she died. Investigators went through David's iPhone and found messages between the two of them, in which Celeste was demanding more from the relationship and threatening to go to police if things did not change. According to prosecutors, she allegedly told him she could ruin his music career. Investigators believe this is David's motive, that Celeste was becoming a liability he felt he needed to eliminate. What also emerged from the phone evidence was the extent of their relationship. Court filings reveal that throughout 2024, Celeste spent significant time with David, including summer weekends at his Hollywood Hills home and travel with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas, where she apparently met his family and was added to a family group chat. David's mother, who prosecutors say was instrumental in managing his career and finances, and his younger brother were both subpoenaed to testify before what appears to be a grand jury. The feds believe David's family had knowledge of Celeste and are investigating whether any family members helped him conceal anything. The cover-up evidence is extensive. Prosecutors allege David took specific steps after Celeste died that point to premeditation. He allegedly removed 2 of her fingers, ones that bore a tattoo of his name, which were never recovered. He then ordered, under a fake name, Victoria Mendes, 2 chainsaws, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool from Amazon. He also ordered a shovel from Home Depot via Postmates. Investigators are still working to understand why 2 chainsaws were ordered, and they believe at least one family member may have been involved in the cleanup effort. A video was also found on David's phone, showing him cleaning Celeste's Air Jordans, the same sneakers she was wearing in her profile photo on the day she disappeared. And then, shortly after, he ordered a burn cage, delivered to his home under the same fake name. Prosecutors say this was part of a plan to incinerate evidence. Beyond the cleanup, David also began transferring assets out of his name after his arrest, putting property and financial holdings into family members' names. Legal analysts have pointed out that this is a well-recognized form of fraudulent transfer under the law, and courts have the authority to disregard those transfers when determining what assets are available to satisfy criminal judgments or civil suits. Doing this during an active investigation, rather than years prior, only draws more attention to the intent behind it. Then came what prosecutors described as evidence of a confession. A video was found on David's phone, recorded around the time investigators believe Celeste died. In the video, David speaks to his followers about all the passings in his life and the difficulty of the moment, telling people not to lose hope and to stay prayed up for 2025. Prosecutors looked into whether any family member or close friend of David had actually died around that time. None had. Their position is that David was recording a message about Celeste, speaking obliquely about what he had done in a way he thought was untraceable. There was also a separate interview that surfaced, in which David described an alter ego who lives in an anime-like world and commits crimes that his detective self then has to solve. Out of every possible crime he could have referenced as an example in that interview, he chose one that mirrors what prosecutors allege he did to Celeste. One viewer's reaction captured what many people felt watching it, that there are hundreds of crimes he could have described, and this is what he chose. Prosecutors also revealed a witness who will testify that David did not just commit the act. He stood there afterward and watched Celeste die without intervening. That is a specific kind of claim that, as one former investigator noted, does not come from physical evidence alone. It comes from a witness who was present or who David told directly. Which brings us to Neo. Investigators believe David had a secret close relationship with a man named Leo Langston, known as Neo. Old photos have surfaced of the two recreating famous romantic poses together. When David was arrested, Neo posted publicly that he was legally fine and had all his receipts. Legal observers interpreted this as Neo signaling he intends to cooperate with prosecutors and testify about what he knows. Neo's testimony, combined with the phone evidence, the cover-up purchases, the YouTube search history, the asset transfers, and the alleged confession video, gives prosecutors what they are describing as a comprehensive picture of motive, action, and intent. David's team asked for house arrest. Prosecutors said no, and laid out exactly why. The judge now has all of this in front of them. Do you think David's team has any real chance of getting him out before trial, or do you think the prosecution's case is too strong at this point? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you want every update on this case as it develops.